Can we give a Gannon Golden Knight welcome to Mr. John O'Leary?
Come on, baby. Good luck. Woo! You know, I wanted to begin tonight by sharing a story you will not find in the book you were made to read called On Fire, because I think this story speaks to the ability we all have in our lives to make a profound difference. The only question we students get to ask is, will our difference be for better or for worse? So here's a story that kind of tells both sides of the story. When I was a junior in high school, just a couple years younger than many of you in the room tonight, I was trying to fit in like everybody else, but there was this one guy in our school who kept making fun of my hands. And it was like the one thing about me, I just can't change, student leaders. I can't change my hands. And day after day after day, this guy is making fun of my hands, and deep down, it is killing me. It is killing me. But nobody stands up to him. Nobody does the right thing. Not my friends, not my buddies, not guys I was in class with, not my teachers and professors, no one. And then finally, junior year, 6th period history class, the smallest guy in our entire school stood up, Gannon. One kid stood up. He walks back in the middle of history, points down at the big, tough bully. This guy was popular. He was big. He was athletic. Everybody loved him. And the little guy is pointing down to him, and he says, loud and clear, I'll imitate his voice for you. Dude! Dude! Shut up! You have no idea what this kid's been through. And then the little guy says, dude, shut up. Gannon, when the big, burly, athletic, successful man heard what the little guy said, what do you think the big guy did? Yell it out. Punched him. But that's not what you do when you see evidence of real courage, real bravery, real vulnerable around you. What you do is you recognize it for being something you're used to not seeing. We're not as familiar with this. What the big, tough giant did is he put his hands together on his desk, looked down, and never once again said anything negative about my hands or anybody else in the entire school. That day, one student stood up, lived out his faith, boldly stepped forward, and in doing so changed my life. And Gannon, this is our invitation every day of our lives. Whether you are a freshman, you have snuck in as a 5th-year senior, whatever year you may be, teachers, professors, family. I know some of you brought children. We are called to be giants, to step forward when everybody else is stepping away, which is not always easy. It is not always easy. How many of you, looking back at your life, have ever done anything that you now realize was a big mistake? Besides spill that drink right there. Anybody else? I spilled mine earlier today twice, so I get it. When I was a 9-year-old boy, I grew up 9.5 hours from where you're seated here today. So I'm a St. Louis, Missouri guy, but I'll tell you this, I feel home on campus. I feel like I belong, and I hope my kids feel as if they belong at GU. It's true. My experience from today has been nothing short of profound. I hope many of you freshmen are already experiencing that you are home, if you are home. I saw little boys, though, growing up that were playing with fire and gasoline. What these kids would do is they would sprinkle gasoline on a sidewalk, strike a match, stand back 2 feet for safety. Very risk-averse, man. Throw the match on top of the gasoline, and it would dance to life. And when you are 9, students, and you are a male, boys, this is awesome. You are watching a puddle of liquid as if Harry Potter had just stepped into the room, turned to fire. And these are guys you look up to. They're practically men. They're 11. Okay. And you think, if these men, these 6th graders can do that and get away with it, What's the next sentence? Come on. So that weekend, it's on. Students, leaders, freshmen, friends, be very intentional on whose voice you follow. Not only on the front side of your academic career, but for the rest of your lives. Be very thoughtful and selective on whose voice you're going to follow. Make sure you are following one that is life-giving, because we become like those we hang out with the most. That weekend, I had the wrong voice guiding me forward. I'm following these no-good guys off the ledge. My father's at work. My mom is out. The house is mine. I walk into the garage. I bend over a can of gasoline. The plan is to pour a little bit of gasoline on top of this burning piece of paper. Before the liquid came out, what comes out first? Fumes. As leaders, as servants, as students in life, it's seldom what we see coming that burns. It's almost never liquid that will burn you at university. It's almost always fumes. It's what we don't see. It's what we don't have the wisdom to acknowledge. It's one of the reasons why our faith is so important. That day, those fumes raced out of that can. That's the real picture up here. Created a huge explosion and launched the child 20 feet against the far side of the garage. When we were little, we were taught and trained what to do when we're on fire. What are we supposed to do when we're on fire, class? What do you actually do when you're on fire, class? Freak out. I like that answer. We train up here in academia. Take notes. This is going to be on the test. You'll need this for the midterms. We train up here, but we live, we serve, we connect, we worship, we create, we bond, we live and we love from a more sacred source. We need our heads, so do take notes. But recognize, student leaders, that our job over the next few years is to make sure our heads and our hearts are connected as one, undivided, one life. That day for me, they were separate. Separate is not equal. It never has been. And so I panicked. I ran for my life. One moment, I was this happy and healthy, and I'm going to zoom in so that leaders in the far back can see as well. And it's okay to nod your head. Extremely good looking. Okay, bangs like this. Okay, that is either a laser level, or what else might it be? A bowl. And that little white thing below his chin, what's that called? A freaking dickie. Yes, ma'am. Some of you don't even know what a freaking dickie is. Don't Google it right now, okay? It's going to take you sideways extremely quickly. A dickie is the top part of the turtleneck. Your mama makes you wear it. You resent her for that one. But students, freshmen, leaders, you love your life. Have you ladies, have you gentlemen, have you friends, have you ever noticed when life is going great? It's easy to miss how great it is. Do you know what I mean? When we wake up and we are in Erie, Pennsylvania, and it's 68 degrees outside and it's sunny, and you got the lake, and it's just gorgeous. It's very easy to not recognize how gorgeous it is. My encouragement is to not let this day pass without recognizing how incredible this theater is, how remarkable and miraculous your life is, and the gifts of education that remain in front of you always. To be a change agent, to not only be transformed, but inspired enough to transform those around you. Because life is changing. Don't miss this day. This is the day. This is the day. The next picture will be hard to look at. It's going to be up here on the screen. Some of you may want to shut your eyes. Some of you have had your eyes shut since I started speaking. You keep your eyes shut. You're in a good place. This picture's hard. I don't like to look at it, so you may not want to see it either. You can shut your eyes if you'd like. I found myself on my back with burns on 100% of my body. 87% were third degree. I'm laying there. I'm dying. I remember looking up at the bright light. Not quite as bright as the ones they have on us tonight, but I remember looking into the bright light thinking, oh my gosh. My dad is what? You all read the book, I forgot. You don't need to read chapter 7 for that one. You lived it. How many of you, by a show of hands, had a disciplinarian growing up? 24 of you. Out of, 1,500 or so in the theater tonight, 24 of you had a disciplinarian. And the others have just done it by yourself. That's right, brother. Welcome to Erie. I'm a self-starter, man. I don't need nobody. In fact, as a child, I changed my own diapers. I homeschooled myself, man. I'm self-made. Students and teachers, for that matter. What a lie. Don't buy it. It is a grand lie. We can do little, very little by ourselves. But collectively, 1,500 in this theater strong, man, we can change the world. I think we play small. We are called to be world changers. We can't do much by ourselves, but collectively we can change the world. I didn't self-make myself. I was lucky and blessed to sit on the shoulders of giants. And for me, one of the giants was my dad. But he was also a business owner. He was also a veteran. He's also kind of type A. And I kind of also blew up his house. Dad's gonna kill you. Boy, I knew it, man. I knew he was gonna kill me. I hear his voice down the hall. He's yelling at some poor nurse. Where is my boy, John? And I'm back here. Let me set the stage. There we go. I'm back here, arms crossed, thinking, oh my gosh. The old man has come to finish me off. It is over. And this one nurse does me no favor. She brings him back to where I'm laying. I think she should have called security, pulls back the curtain, and this old angry guy walks in. And he was old. He was 41. When you're 9, 19 is old. I thought he was old. I knew he was mad. I watched as he marched over to me, so I remember shutting my eyes. And then as my father continued forward, I remember hearing these words, students. Please hear them. John, look at me when I'm talking to you. Which in our family, now it's over. So I look up at my dad and he says, I have never been so proud of anybody in my entire life. And my little buddy today, this morning, I am proud to be your dad. And then he says, I love you. I love you. I love you. And as a little guy, I crossed those arms, I shut those eyes, and remember thinking, oh my gosh. Nobody told my dad what happened. Like, I wonder if I can get away with this thing. You ever been there, freshman? Like, you drop 4 classes, maybe they won't find out at home. I mean, who knows? Maybe they won't know. We will be found out in the end. How awesome to know, Gannon University, we celebrate the great, profound power of grace. Of grace. That covers over different nationalities, different backgrounds, different beliefs. Grace washes over us. What a blessing, what a gift that is. My dad came in embodying grace and love, and he changed my heart from the inside out. I don't think my father's love made the next 5 months in burn care easy. I don't think it made 2 years of surgery and operations that followed easy. I don't think it made a lifetime of some challenges, students, easy. I just think his grace, his love, his leadership made the journey possible. It made it possible. So as I get ready to put a pause button on this story, I'm going to put a question in front of you. I know I'm not the only one who has been led forward with grace or with love. I know I'm not the only one with a profound teacher in my life. I know I'm not the only one in here that has leaned on the shoulders of giants. So I'm curious, who's yours? I'd like you to think just for a moment about one person, one rabbi, one pastor, one priest, one coach, one teacher, one professor, one mentor, one sister, one brother, one parent, one whoever who inspires you to become the best version of yourself. Just one. Who is that one for you? In a moment, you'll need an answer. I'll go first. Mine's pictured up there. But it's not my dad. So who is it, students? 9 of you got the answer right. We are in trouble, leaders, if 9 of you got the answer right on this one. My mom. My mom. They're both remarkable people. They're both incredible servants and leaders. But I think my mom taught me somehow even more than my father. She taught me an awful lot about love. Love is not easy. It's actually hard. It demands accountability. It demands forward progression, students. It's not going to let you off the hook. But the cool thing about love is when you fall, and as a student, you will. Love allows someone else to come alongside of you, dust off those knees, pick you back up, and move forward. My mom is one of the most loving people I've ever met, which means she's hard. She's hard. The best story about my mother's love shows up 3 days after I come home. Some of you who read the book On Fire, you may remember the story about how she taught me how to eat. It's called Pick Up Your Fork. It's in chapter 1. You ought to read it sometime. It's awesome. But I wanted to share with you a story tonight that is not in the book. 3 days after that story, Pick Up Your Fork, I'm at home, picture it there, victorious, Tuesday. And the doorbell rings. My mother goes to the door. Let me put her back on for you so you know who she is. There she is. Opens up the door, and right away I recognize the woman's voice. It's Mrs. Bartello. I hated Mrs. Bartello. Okay. Did you know her? Some of you are giving me that I hate her too, brother. You are not alone up there on stage. My mother brings in Mrs. Bartello. She's our piano teacher. I don't want to play piano as a kid from Missouri. I want to play baseball. That's all I want to do as a kid. I just want to play baseball, man, all day long. I knew I would never play baseball again. How could I? But I also knew, there's a silver lining in any storm. I'll never have to play piano either. It's not all bad. I knew I would never, ever play piano again. My mother comes into the kitchen. I look up and I say, Mom, why is she here? The poor lady's standing right next to my mother, okay? No manners at all, man. Mama, why is she here? And I want you student leaders to remember how my mother responds. You may need this when someone says something you disagree with politically, or it offends your religious values or your lack of religious values. It just upsets you deeply, and you want to respond by fighting back. Please hear how my mother responds. We need more of this, not only on Gannon University, but around our country and between our countries. Hear how my mother responds. Mama, why is she here? And here's her response. Listen. She doesn't say a word. She doesn't say a word. Instead, she humbly, quietly, but assertively, faithfully, and lovingly bends down and unhooks the brakes of my wheelchair. We could talk about this one all night. We all have, I think, some brakes on. Real love is about being liberated from those brakes. My mother freed me from those binds, rolls me away from the pity party where I'd been, takes me down a hallway. I look up and I say, Mama, where are you taking me? She doesn't say a word. She just keeps pushing. All the way down a hallway, my great-grandmother's piano is seated there in the far corner. She pushes me to it, locks the brakes, and walks out. I hate my mom. It's not just the dicky. It's not just clothing material. And maybe the only time I hated my mother more than that Tuesday was the following. When Mrs. Bartello came back. Or the following, when Mrs. Bartello came back. Or the following for 5. What's the next word? I was going to curse, but we'll go with yours. I think yours is more appropriate. 5 years. 5 years of Tuesdays with Mrs. Bartello. If you ever come visit me, students, leaders, servants, you'll find a guy who lives in St. Louis, who runs a business, who is active in his faith, who is married, who owns a home, owns a piano, and has 4 kids who hate their dad. Because every Tuesday at 3:30 the doorbell rings, and this beautiful lady named Miss Christine comes by and teaches my kids piano. I want to put this question back on the screen tonight. Who's that person who taught you something? Who allowed you to see just over the horizon what you could not yet see for yourself? Who's that great, profound teacher for you? Who inspires you? And while you reflect on it, what I thought might be cool tonight, they have somehow miraculously moved a piano on stage. So I'm gonna like moonwalk, okay? Over this way. I'm gonna reveal now the great show. There's a piano on stage. And what I wanted to do for you tonight, student leaders, is play for you my mother's favorite song. The very first time I ever did this live, because I don't know if you've noticed, maybe you haven't, I don't have fingers. So I don't like to play the piano all that much even at my own house, but I certainly have never played publicly. It's like embarrassing. I'm not that good at it. And we're supposed to be good at things. The very first time I ever played the piano publicly was at a fairly large venue. There were 23,000 people in the room. It was the MGM Grand Theater in Las Vegas, and a lady had said to me, "John, will you play the piano for my family tonight?" And even in life, when I feel like I'm incapable of something, or not talented enough, or just not quite good enough, I still know the answer. Like when you feel like that tug on your heart, you still know the answer. The answer is yes. So I dripped out the answer, "Yes, ma'am. What song would you like to hear?" And she said, "Johnny, what was your mother's favorite?" So I told her. And she goes, "Well, that's what I want. Play it for my family tonight." So leaders, I'm going to walk over. I'm going to play the song for you, the same one I played for them. As I make my way to the piano, 2 things. Number 1, lower expectations for the piano. If you are seated here, part of the freshman reading, you're thinking, this better be good. Okay, you are in the wrong theater right now. Okay, you read the wrong book. It was called On Fire. I don't know which one you read. You read the wrong one. Lower expectations for me. But class, students, world changers, golden knights, elevate expectations of what is possible through your life. Quit playing small. Quit playing small. Let's go big. Let's change the world together. So I'm going to play for you today my mother's favorite song. As I get ready to sit down and play, when I first started learning this one, my left arm was tied out at my side. They call it an airplane splint. So for those of you maybe in the PT or OT program, you may know about this already, but they splinted my arm up at 90 degrees. So my left arm can't participate. And my right hand was wrapped in a boxer's glove. So the song, students, sounded a little bit like this. Not bad. At all. And then they did a surgery, this wonderful medical community, which allowed me to play with just one finger at a time, to get focused. And I wish, candidly, that I had been much more focused freshman year than I was. And I wish I'd kept that focus going through sophomore and beyond, because I think I could have had a much better experience for my own version of who I was back then. But it's cool what we can do when we get focused. They did a surgery that allowed my left arm to come down and join. And it's just awesome what we can get accomplished when we're not just by ourselves. that song. Woo! She never dreamed, my mother, in a million years that would be the result of that song. How could you? She never fathomed that I would have the opportunity on October 15th, 2019, to hang out with the freshman leaders at Gannon University. She never fathomed that. But what teaching, what leadership, what love and service is about ultimately is helping those that we serve to see beyond where they currently are living, to see what still is possible in spite of headlines and headwind. Who taught you that? I'm not the first. So I'm going to be quiet for a moment. This is good news. We're going to invite the leaders in back to turn up the stage lights just a little bit on you so that we can see you a little bit. You're going to grab a friend nearby you, a fellow freshman, a fellow teacher, a stranger for some of us, and you're going to answer the question on the screen, which I realized, dude, that is way awkward. Right? That is way awkward. We were told we had to read. We were not told we had to share. But tonight you share. Because it's not just about absorbing information. That's not what university is about. It's about absorbing it in order to be inspired, transformed, and elevated through it. Better, activated. So leaders, just repeat after me. Hi. This is awkward for me too. Look at me when I'm talking to you. I love you. Nothing you can do about it. Nothing you can do about it. And one person who inspires me to become the best version of myself is Golden Knights, Gannon University. For a moment, forget about the quizzes tomorrow and the papers due and the stuff you're dealing with at home that nobody else even knows you're dealing with tonight. Like, for a moment, forget about it. Grab a friend, grab a stranger, turn toward them, share the love, make sure they're looking at you. In fact, we're going to practice this one more time, this time with a little bit of energy, class. Here we go. Hi. Hi. This is awkward for me, too. Look at me when I'm talking to you. I love you. There is nothing you can do about that. And one person who inspires me to become the best version of myself is leaders, forget about me, forget about work, forget about homework, grab a friend, share the love. The only rule is you may not share by yourself. Everybody partner up. Come on, in twos and threes, have some fun. We're taking 2 minutes. Twos and threes, have some fun. All right, Gannon University. That's enough love. If you haven't yet shared, that's your homework assignment. Go home, keep talking. Here's something cool that happens when that exercise is on. I walk out on here on stage, and I ask you questions like, those two people on the screen, one of them is my dad, but my dad's not my hero. Who is it? And like 8 of you go like, Mom. What happens if you stop, drop, and roll? And like 4 of us are engaging. But then it comes to love. And the theater ignites. I say, take the blaze back out of the theater, back into your dorms, back into your classrooms tomorrow, and back into a marketplace desperate for it. So don't keep what you're receiving here tonight here. It is intended to be shared and lived and modeled, and that is awesome. But it's not always easy. I'm going to skip through this. If you're on social media, which I would imagine 4 or 5 of you might be, I am too. So wherever you're hanging out, I'm probably on that channel. So anywhere you're listening or checking things out, like every day I share a bit of good news. Tomorrow will be my Gannon University day. I'm going to spend a whole dang day bragging about this experience. So if honestly, and it's not like false praise. I have been overwhelmed by this culture, this community, this service, Those of you who go on trips to serve others, like, I'm blown away by your love. So I'll be bragging about you tomorrow. So if you want to see that, follow us online and then be aware that I'll share good news every day going forward. That's how we do it. At the very bottom of that link, though, is our podcast. How many of you listen to podcasts? Podcasts are cool. The cool thing about podcasts is you get to choose who you listen to when you listen to it with no commercials. I think it's pretty awesome. We have a cool podcast. It's called Live Inspired. Live Inspired with John O'Leary. I interview people I respect. People like astronauts and artists, great writers. I've interviewed Brene Brown, among many others. But we also occasionally interview musicians, including these guys. Anybody know who that's a picture of? We got Journey in the house, man. Like, I'm fired up, dude. I think Journey's awesome. So Journey's in the house. I'm interviewing Jonathan Cain. He's their keyboardist. And Jonathan Cain shares the story of when Journey broke up. I know some of you are like, no. Don't tell me that they broke up. Yeah, they broke up. The year was 1976, before any of you were born. They broke up in 1976 in California. Jonathan Cain, the keyboardist, writes home to his dad and says, Father, send money. I'm coming home. And his dad sent out a check for $3,000, which is pretty awesome money. And with that check came a love letter that said, son, with this money, you may not come home. You may not come home. You're too talented. You're too gifted. You've got too much to offer. You're staying in California. You're going to follow the dream. And then on the bottom left of the check, some of you may not know this, but there's a little part of the check on the bottom left called memo. Okay, it looks like hashtag memo. It's not. It's actually memo. And there are 3 words. First one to get it wins. This is the birthplace of that song. A father's love for his kid. When you're singing this at a karaoke bar in a couple years, now you'll know where the story came from. Don't stop believing grew out of a love letter. It grew out of a love letter. And Gannon University, I think we need to carry that love letter forward. We need to remind people, don't stop believing. Don't stop believing. At the end of every podcast, we ask our listeners and our guests one final question. Anybody want to guess what the final question is? What more can I do? So leaders, students, friends, colleagues, brothers and sisters, I'm going to share one more story with you. Maybe play one more song with you. We're going to do a little class activity. Right on. And then we're going to go home. And we're going to live this message. So here we go. Final story for me. Little boy named John O'Leary got burned. I think you heard that story. Some of you even read this story, but you learn later on, I came into the hospital bed. My mom and dad were cool. But then those doctors came in, and those PAs came in, and those OTs and PTs in the medical community show up. And one of the things they have to do is tie me down to the bed. So I can't move my arms or my legs for 5 months. My lungs were burned. I can't breathe, so they put a hole in my neck. What's that called? You got a trach. So now I can breathe, but I can't eat or drink or talk. And I had one other challenge. You notice the screen is blank right now. It's blank because my eyes are swollen shut. I can't see. And I remember being a little kid, really struggling in life big time. Like, candidly, many of us are tonight. Like, just struggling with stuff. I've been there. I have been in that situation where it seemed like, is it ever going to get better? And then on occasion, because you need to know tonight, students, you're not alone. And if you're there right now, you call me directly or you reach out to a friend or one of the colleagues in this room, an RA, whoever it might be. But you're not alone in this storm. I felt very alone from time to time. But I could also dream and feel and imagine and pray. Don't underestimate the power of prayer. I could meditate and I could listen. I could listen. Have you ever noticed how much more you hear when your eyes are shut? Some of you have been listening awesome all night. When your eyes are shut, you hear. And growing up in St. Louis, Missouri, there's basically one thing we like to hear, man. We like baseball. I'm a Cardinal fan. We're in the playoffs right now, struggling a little bit. But the way we used to watch baseball was not with our eyes, it was with our ears. We had a big-time radio announcer named Jack Buck. His son Joe is calling baseball games right now for the Yankees and Astros. I love Joe Buck, but he's not my hero. His father was my hero. I just never met the guy. He's a celebrity. I'm not. He's rich. I'm not. He's known. I'm not. He's important. I'm not. That's how I felt. But I loved him. I listened to him every single night on the radio. And then I got burned on a Saturday. Back up the tape. Sunday afternoon, I'm laying in darkness like this, struggling mightily. And then one person walks in. I hear the footsteps first. I hear a chair come across the floor. I hear a cough. And then I hear this voice. And the voice says, Kid, wake up. You are going to live. You are going to survive. Keep fighting. John O'Leary Day at the ballpark will make it all worthwhile. And then he goes, Kid, are you listening? To which I respond. To which he responds, good. Keep fighting. Keep fighting. The man walks out. He leaves a child tied down in darkness by himself on fire for life. I wrote a book 3 years ago called On Fire. I didn't call it that because I got burned. That's cheap. I called it On Fire because of how God used ordinary people the moment after the explosion, like a brother who'd never done anything for me, like sisters who I wasn't even sure back then if they liked me, like parents who I thought were going to judge me and be angry about it, like doctors and nurses, custodians who I'd never met before, and like celebrities, ordinary people. Or don't overlook this. They're ordinary people to do extraordinary things. It is on fire what we can do when we are working together as one. Jack was part of that solution. He shows up with that encouragement, walks out of that room, leans his head against a doorway, and he just starts crying, which, of course, we all know as freshmen is a sign of great weakness. Yes? I mean, if you're crying every day, come to me. Okay, I'll be back there later on tonight. Let's talk. But student leaders, if we don't occasionally cry, it's not because we're tough. It's only because we're not paying attention. Jack wept, not out of weakness, but out of profound love and empathy and compassion. Anybody know the shortest verse in Scripture? He wept. I think it's not coincidental. The shortest verse in all Scripture, he wept. What a great model. He wept. Jack did too. One of the nurses comes over to him, kneels down, looks up and says, Mr. Buck, are you all right? We can't lose you. You're the only celebrity in St. Louis. We cannot lose you, brother. And the man looks down and says, I'm not sure, that little boy, he won't make it, will he? And the expert on her knees looks up and says, Mr. Buck, there is absolutely not a chance. It's his time. Let him go. When this diagnosis comes in a class, not a chance you're going to pass this one. When it comes in a relationship, with family, with community, with the environment, whatever social issues offend you and bother you, you wish we could redeem. When you hear the diagnosis, well, man, there's not a chance. Nothing you can do about it. What you do next and what we do next collectively will matter. What Mr. Buck does, he takes it home. He cries, he prays, he reflects, and he journals. What's the question? To make tomorrow better than today. In school, for my family, community. What more can I do, God? The following day, there's a little fella named John O'Leary hanging out on a burn center bed dying. No reason for hope. And then the door opens up, footsteps walk in, a chair comes across the floor. And then this voice, the voice of one. It's enough. It's not many, but it's enough. Kid, wake up. I'm back. You are going to live. You are going to survive. Keep fighting. John O'Leary Day at the ballpark will make it all worthwhile. See you soon. And then he leaves. And then the following day, leaders, the dude comes back. Day after day after day for 5 months. It's not a transaction, it's a relationship. That takes time, but it's worth it. He picks me up on August 26, 1987, takes me downtown. We have John O'Leary Day at the ballpark. That's me on the left. Okay. We go upstairs that night and we broadcast the Cardinal game. I don't know what your dream was growing up. But for me, it's about as big as it gets being involved with baseball. And here's my chance. He puts a big old microphone in front of me, and on live national TV, he says, actually not live national radio, he says, "It's John O'Leary Day at the ballpark. The New York Mets are in town. Kid, are you having fun?" And on live national radio, I look up and I respond, "Because I'm shy. I'm an introvert. I don't feel as if I fit in." If I'm being really honest with you, I still sometimes wonder about that one. I struggle with that, self-worth. I don't say a word to him the entire night. So Jack sees a little kid that can't speak. He sees a little kid stuck into a wheelchair, can't get out of that one without a little bit of help. He sees a little kid that can't hold anything with his hands, not a water bottle, not a clicker thing, can't do anything. And in life, it's very easy to see what's wrong with the roommate, with a teacher, with parents, with your community, with your country, with whatever. Any fool can do that. We are called leaders not only to see what is wrong, but the solution to it. When Jack saw this little guy, he saw the neck brace and he saw the brokenness, but he didn't stay there for long. He also saw the other side of the story. When you see that little guy, what jumps off that screen at you? See the smile? You see this big old, the hat, says one lady up, like the hat, dude, that is a goofy hat. You need to do better than that, man. Listen, dudes, I was into bling before the Kardashians were born, okay? It's like I'm kind of a big deal in the Midwest. The hat stands out, but also the smile. Cover up the smile. Is he so happy? How do you know? Eyes. Joy, man, ladies. Courage, faith, zest for life. Jack sees it. And the pain, and the brokenness, and the adversity ahead. He takes home the good and the bad. They play together. They don't come separately. They come together. Take them both home. He cries, he prays, he reflects, and journals. What more can I do? The following day, I get a baseball. It was signed by a Cardinal player named Ozzie Smith. Below that ball was a note from Jack that read, "Kid, if you want a second baseball, all you have to do is send a thank you letter to the guy who signed the first." Just one problem. What's the problem, students? Dude, I can't write. Do you think he knew I could not write? Yes or no? So why would he make me do something he knew I could not do? I spoke to a group of first graders recently, and a cute little girl with dark hair raised her hand like kind of frantically and goes, "Mm." So I called on her, and then she goes, "Because he didn't want to have to send you a second baseball?" Like, no, first grader, anyone else. You all got the answer to inspire you to pick up the pen and write. My mother had been trying this too. She used to walk into my room with a Gannon University in hand, try to hand it to me, and my mother would say, baby, when you learn how to write again, you get to go back to school. Okay, like, that may have worked for you. Not for me. I don't want to go to grade school. I'm at home. You enjoyed fall break? I'm at home. I'm on fall break permanently. I don't want to go to school. Good leadership is about encouraging people to rise to where they are. People rise to where I am. It's great up here. It's so good being successful. Rise. That's one way to lead people forward. But the other, the better, and the way we do it at Gannon University is rather than rising to where others are, we first come down to where they are. We love them where they are. We meet them where they are. And then together we build a bridge to what is possible together. Jack came all the way down to my level and met me with the one thing that might motivate change, inspiration, baseball. I wrote the note, mailed it off, and 2 days later I got a second baseball with the second note that read, "Kid, if you want a third baseball. Kid, if you want a fourth baseball. Kid, if you want a fifth baseball." 1987, one guy, a very busy person, by the way, sent a little nobody named John O'Leary 60 baseballs, teaching a little nobody that there's no such thing. Your life has value. In fact, I need to say that again so you all hear it loud and clear, because I'm not talking about a little boy right now. Your life has value. You are a profound gift. In a marketplace that has forgotten that, don't. In a marketplace last year alone where 1.6 million Americans attempted to take their own life, please recognize your life has value. You are profoundly important. You're a gift. Jack is reminding a little boy that he's got value still. He taught a little boy to write, which allowed me to go back to grade school, which allowed me eventually to go on to 4 years of high school, which eventually allowed me to go on to 9 years at university. Okay. It's a different story. We're not going to unpack it tonight. But eventually I graduate, and graduation at the miracle happens. The miracle's love, baby. Love. I never dated in grade school, middle school, high school, or college. That is a fairly long drought without ever having a single date. And yet graduation night, ladies, graduation night, gentlemen, graduation night, my friends, love shows up. Can I show you her picture, yes or no? Some of you already know this. Here she is. Is she gorgeous? Who'd you expect? Love. Love sometimes looks like a 19-year-old brunette named Elizabeth Grace. She's got brown hair, brown eyes. She's an OT student for the OT future students in the room. She's stunning. You haven't met her yet, though. You haven't met her. Other times, she looks like a 76-year-old man named Jack Buck with Parkinson's disease like my dad has and stage 4 lung cancer. But when you see the picture of Jack Buck, leaders, do you see a picture of a guy dying? Yes or no? Shoulders back. Let's finish strong together. Jack shows up one final time in my life this side of eternity with a package and a note. What do you think the first word on the note was? Kid. I'm not sure he ever knew my first name was John, okay? Kid, this means a lot to me. I hope it means a lot to you too. Enjoy, it's yours. Before I show you what he gave, anybody want to guess what his question was? Yell it out if you think you might know. Yell it out if you think you might know. It's on the screen. Hey, leaders, I'm not going to make you do this game again, but please hear this. Anybody can sit in the back and not play along. Anybody can sit and let others step forward. We are called, Golden Knights, to be the one who makes the change. Not to wish it might happen or to wait for her or them to do it, but to be it. Start, move forward. Jack asked, what more can I do? And then he acted. He moved. He stepped. Kid, this means a lot to me. I hope it means a lot to you. This is the baseball that I received when I went into the Hall of Fame. It is made of crystal. It is priceless. There is only one like it in the entire world. And then he wrote, don't drop it. And the final words he ever spoke to me were these: it's yours. You should hear these words tonight, freshmen. This experience, October 15th. If we're lucky enough to see it, the 16th. It is a gift. It's yours. Don't waste it. Don't waste it. It's yours. What a gift. Jack taught a little boy the value of his life, which allowed him to not only embrace it himself, but to pursue it and see it in others, which I think led to this picture, known as the greatest sales job of my entire life. Okay. Her name is Elizabeth Grace. She gave me him. He is named after him. I like these people over here. They're like watching the Hallmark Channel, right? They're on their smartphones. Oh, wait until they see this one. Jack and Patrick. I remind those boys, my wife likes to dress them like this when I'm out of town. Okay. I dress them like this when I get back in town. Tell them I love them. There's nothing they can do about that. Tell those two to love on their little brother. His name is Henry. And over in Missouri, they just keep showing up. Okay, Jack and Patrick and Henry, and now finally, we believe, a little baby girl named Grace. And the dog's name is Emma. Emma made to be thorough. What I hope you see tonight and hear tonight and read in the book on fire is this story was hard. It was so hard. It's so easy to look at this and be like, oh, and miss how hard this was. And leaders, how worthy the fight was. Freshman year, first year on campus, this is hard. Doing the right thing, this is hard. Going on mission trips, this is hard. This is hard. And so worth it. Be all in for your life. It is worth it. And in doing so, you will change the world through yours. I promise you. So tonight, students, as we get ready to part ways for now, just for a while, anybody want to guess what the final question I want you to think about is? Yell it out. What more can I do to make tomorrow better than today? To make tomorrow better than today. So I'm going to sit back for a moment, have you reflect on that question. Your homework assignment tomorrow, when you get back to school, is to turn this one in. Because of tonight's message, I commit to one thing. That's the homework. I'm giving you the question ahead of time, and I'm encouraging your teachers tomorrow to collect it. Because of this message, I commit to one thing. Maybe for some of us, this might be a cool one. Journaling every night as a freshman on what more you can do. Can you imagine how powerful that'd be about 4 years in? Even one weekend to make tomorrow better than yesterday? What more can I do? I'd like you to think about that commitment. How many of you, by a show of hands, have a cell phone? 13 freshmen have phone. Okay. If you have a smartphone, you have anything on your person that might work, I invite you right now to actually grab it. This is how we're going to stay in touch beyond tonight. The reality, leaders, is tomorrow morning at 4:10, my alarm goes off. At 4:30, I got to get to the airport, and then I'm running again, eventually making my way back home. But I want to make sure that we do life together beyond tonight. I'm not here just for tonight and I'm gone. I want to do life together. So if you have a phone, my ask is that you will text me your email address. So it could be school, it could be Hotmail or whatever else you might use. But my number's on the screen. It's 314-202-5373. And the big ask, text me your email. And then Monday morning, we're doing life together. You're not on your own. And if you ever need anything, I'm in. Hit reply. So final time, leaders, world changers, servants, 314-202-5373, your email, or the email of someone you don't care for. I'll take either of those emails tonight. And then hit send. That's it. That's it. I'll take care of the rest. I want you to hear it one more time, though. Every Monday, I send out a little letter. I think next Monday, I'm going to be writing about Gannon University, my experience here. So you'll be reading about yourself. That alone will make it worth reading, I think. But if you ever need anything as a freshman, if there are ever days that get long and hard and you're not sure that you are worth it, you email me and I will respond personally. So I'm in, guys. Like you've given me a powerful, unforgettable gift in your presence and in your love and in your welcome today. If I can ever return the favor, drop me a note. Okay, so I'm in. Those are some ways we can stay in touch. Anywhere that you're hanging out, I'll be there too. There's a book called On Fire. Some of you read it. Some of you just wandered in off the street wondering what that big line was outside. The book On Fire is going to be available outside. I'll be signing them. Those of you who want to buy them, I will sign them. For those of you who brought them, I see a bunch in the front row. I'm happy to sign those too. If you forgot yours, let me fist bump you or give you a handshake or a hug as you walk back to your dorm. Like, if I can do anything for you tonight, you ask. The cool thing is there's a new book coming out next May. Cinco de Mayo, baby, get ready to party with John O'Leary. It is called In Awe, and it is about how to return to how we once were as kids. Jesus said, let the children come to me. I don't think he was talking about age. Let people who have big, open, wide hearts on fire for life, non-judgmental, let them come to me. Let them come. So I want to teach people how to be kids again. That's what the book In Awe is about. If you want to pick up the opportunity to get a copy, those are going to be for sale out there as well. So consider checking that out tonight as well. As we get ready to wrap up, I have a final short little story I want to share. But before I do, I want to play my wife's favorite song on the piano. So over in Yale Ballroom, I think I'm saying that right, we thought we might get a piano. It didn't quite happen as beautifully as this one, but they happen to have one downstairs. So we walked down the spiral staircase. There was this magnificent grand piano, and I played for them the song I'm about to play for you tonight. She loves it. It's by a little band you may have heard of called Coldplay. If you want to get your cigarette lighters out right now, I think it's okay, so just prepare yourself for it. And the song's name is The Scientist. It's a cool song, but my favorite part about the song is the refrain on it. It says, nobody said it was. These guys even had the eh. They have been doing their work for Coldplay research. Boom. Freshman year, anyone who told you freshman year is the easiest is a liar. You are discerning who you are. You're discerning how to manage time, how to invest your time, how to make a difference, how to not lose your values and more while you're gone. Nobody said it was easy. But this is the day, this is the week, this is October 15th, this is the year that God has made for you. Embrace it. It's not easy, but it is worth it, and so are you. So I have a very short story to share on the backside of this song. I hope you enjoy this one. Still there? Woo! All right, class. Nobody said it was easy. And if they did, they're wrong or lying. But it is worth it. It is possible. And in spite of headlines and negative social media posts and people trolling and everything else we got to deal with in life, I'm here to tell you loud and clear, and this is not in the book, your best days are in front of you. They're not behind you. They're not behind us. Your best days are in front of you. Have faith, fight forward, God bless, and I want to thank you, Gannon University, for welcoming your adopted son into your community. I'll never forget you. God bless you guys. Have an awesome night. Thank you again.